Se dovessi descrivere le GT World Series a chi non le avesse mai viste, direi che sono il distillato in giro per il mondo di questo campionato. C'è tutto tranne la forza G, ci sono i piloti, lo spettacolo e soprattutto le emozioni, la cosa più bella da vedere.
As viagens, né, os eventos em si mesmo, para mim representa muito o que eu acho do game, a minha paixão pelo game. Então eu acho que os eventos, conhecer novos lugares, para mim é muito importante.
Pues lo que me ha enseñado a ser jugador competitivo de Gran Turismo es que cada año hay más nivel en este juego y cada vez se necesita más esfuerzo para ser el mejor aquí en Gran Turismo.
ネーションズカップは去年に比べて今年は個人戦になったのでより個人の戦いが見えるようになってとても良くなったなと思いますし、マニファクチャラーカップについてもラウンド1から3は各地域の選手が活躍できるようになったので、そのフォーマットもすごい良かったかなと思っています。
Being a competitor at these events is just truly a wonderful experience. Just being able to interact with the other drivers, having that sportsmanship, and just kind of building up to it throughout the week. It's just something that you really can't recreate in any other game.
2018年から出場しているんですけれども、今年で7年目になります。なので、はい。ちょっと、そうですね、去年はちょっとあまり経過を残せなかったので、今年は、ネーションズは4年ぶりのチャンピオン、マニアックチャラスは2年ぶりのチャンピオンというところを目指して、今まで頑張ってきました。
I think one thing the fans don't see is the level of dedication they put into these events. What are they, 8 hours a day practicing to get here?
And the mad thing also is that the sense of community is that they're outside of the rigs, they're all good friends, they're all giving each other tips how to go faster. But when they get in the rigs, they all hate each other. It's brilliant.
The live audience is really different than 2022 because now the public is something more for the events. For me, it's like motivated me a lot because I like the public, I like the spectacle. This year we go to 3 countries and you can see the difference of people for the countries, and I like it so much Japanese because it was really cute to take a picture or something. This is really nice.
I think the most important part of the World Series is the audience, because they are who make this bigger, and especially see the atmosphere of how people live our overtakes and our races.
We have 7 languages commentating live in every event. We have local hosts, for example, in Tokyo, which, really bring the welcome and warm to the local audience. That's really cool. I'm not in another eSport event, you can see that.
Commentare in giro per il mondo il campionato è straordinario perché l'energia di tutto il pubblico e gli appassionati è la stessa. Ed è bello perché sono tutti vicini a noi coi piloti, incredibile.
Gran Turismo is bringing the whole car culture with the motorsport into the digital world, and the Gran Turismo World Series is bringing that all around the world with all the competitors, and this is something that we really, really appreciate.
We are ready to go racing for one more time this season and crown our world champions here at Spa. Honda lead the field down towards the first corner. Honda being muscled to the outside here, and Toyota and Subaru ready to take profit.
That straight line speed of a Subaru proving that it doesn't even need to matter what line's on.
Genesis then do go now through and into 4th position.
Side by side, not very much grip out there on the curve.
Team BMW, they're going to win the grand final of the Manufacturers' Cup here. But across the line will come Team Lexus to win the Manufacturers' Cup by 1 point. This race is about to begin. What will happen as the 12 drivers come across the line and we go racing here in Amsterdam. Serrano leads them down towards the first corner, followed by Drumont, Miyazono, De Bruyne. And I don't think Miyazono's going to have anything left in his locker. Indeed, he doesn't. And Drumont accelerates his way through. He's lunging his way to the inside of the Spaniard, down into the hairpin. And Miyazono goes up and through into 3rd place.
He's looking at it. Oh, he does! In the chicane, does at the inside, slows them all up though.
Miyazono pulls out of the slipstream and slides his way past Takuma Miyazono. It's the 2024 Nations Cup Champion of the World!
At Michelin, we are passionate about competition. It's a part of our DNA, and we are so proud about those 5 years spent with the Gran Turismo World Series and all the great achievements we had all together, like the tire strategy you will find never anywhere else.
今年は、ライブイベントを始めて、2年目になって、リブートして2年目になって、一つにはね、どんどんこのイベントに集まるお客さんがたくさんいらっしゃっていたこと、それが今年の大きな変化ですね。で、あとはプレイヤーのドライバーの皆さんのレベルっていうのも年々向上していて、今年はね、本当にどれもハイレベルなレースで、しかも今日のグランドファイナルがそうですけれども、もうこんなレース見られないっていうレースがね、次々と起きていく、そんな年です。
A very good evening and welcome to London for Gran Turismo World Series 1. It is time for the Nations Cup and let's introduce you to our 12 competitors who are here tonight. All the way from Australia, please give it up for Guy Barbara. From Japan, it's Takuma Sasaki. Next, welcome the fast Chilean Angel Inestrosa. Please welcome the buoyant Brazilian Adriano Carrazza. A newcomer for 2025, give it your all for the Canadian Samuel Cardinal. Fast and fearless from the Netherlands, it's Kai de Bruyne. Part of the 2023 trio of champions from Spain, it's Pol Jura. Also a former world champion from Italy, it's Valerio Gallo. Next up from France, give it your all for Thomas Labousselet. And his compatriot, Kylian Drumont. Also part of the Nations Cup Championship trio of 23, give it your all for Spain's Jose Serrano. Last but not least, the champion not once but twice, and the most recent from Japan, it's Takuma Miyazono! And now, ladies and gentlemen, we ask you to stand, if you're able, please, for the national anthem of our host nation here in the United Kingdom. The Nations Cup is a battle of national pride. Unlike the Manufacturers' Cup, it is all about international glory and independent glory for our drivers. Really looking forward to this one. 12 of the very best competitors in the world of Gran Turismo are here tonight. 9 of whom qualified in the Online Qualifiers to be here. Jimmy, I can't wait for this one.
Well, as you said, we have 12 of the best Gran Turismo drivers here in the world ready to put on a show for you guys. We've got Takuma Miyazono, who did so well in the Manufacturers' Cup that we just saw there as well. We have Jose Serrano, Kylian Drumont, all these guys incredibly quick. So looking forward to seeing how things pan out.
Absolutely. Well, let's kick things off then, shall we, and talk to our most recent Nations Cup world champion. Takuma Miyazono is down on the floor with Jules.
Hi, yes, we are down here and ready to kick things off. But before we get right into it, we thought we'd have a chat with one of our, I don't think oldest, but our longest serving drivers, with one of our fresh new ones. Yes, Samuel Cardinal, this is your first time. You've been waiting to hit 18 to come and compete because you've been really fast online.
It's been a couple of years, really great to be here. Thanks for the invitation here. Definitely will try to kick it for the first one.
I think you're going to do good. It's a very friendly, a competitive yet friendly atmosphere. But Takuma, you know, you've raced so many times for us now. What advice do you have to Samuel for his first one?
もうレースは百戦錬磨ですけど、宮園さんから新人のサミュエルさんに何かアドバイスがありますか？
はい、やっぱちょっと家とそのモニターの見方とかが違うと思うんで、何ですかね、あとは遅延とかかな。まあその家との環境の違いっていうのを意識しながら、なるべく、意識してやるといいんじゃないかなと思うんですけど、早く練習したいです。はい。
Yeah. So yeah, it's good to really take note of the differences in how the monitor appears as compared to home and at the venue like this. The latencies can be a little bit different. So that's something that you want to be able to compensate for. But I just want to start practicing as soon as we can.
Oh, wait, I know we have to do these interviews, otherwise no one knows who you are and they don't care about the driving. It's very important. But Samuel, I believe your dad is somewhere in the crowd. Steve, where are you?
Yeah, he's just there.
Oh, hi, Steve. Everyone say hi, Steve. Is your dad proud that you made it here? Because I mean, this is tough to get into. This is not an easy competition at all. Is he proud of what you've accomplished so far?
I think he's definitely proud. It's been a long way, so very glad he's there. Thank you for the invitation for him too. I'm glad, he's glad. I think everyone is happy in my family. So thanks from them at home. They're watching, so thank you guys.
Oh, it's going to be great. You're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be some fierce competition, but you will have a great time, I promise you. And welcome to the family. Let's welcome him first time out. Okay, let's go over to the campaign and figure out how that's going to lay out. Don't forget that you can get involved with the World Series inside Gran Turismo 7 with the bonus campaign. Just click on the Winners Campaign banner on the GT7 world map, and that's going to give you the chance to win 1 million credits by predicting who's going to win. Just think of all the stuff you could buy with that. Don't forget you can enter a vote right up until the start of each Grand Final. Good luck! Watch the World Series broadcast through your GT7 game, and you'll unlock some special in-game rewards through the Viewers Campaign. Watch the Nations Cup live stream and you'll be gifted an Aston Martin Valkyrie with the winning country's livery. Tune in and claim your rewards. So yeah, some great stuff that you can win just by being part of the GT family. Now, if you missed any of last year's action, let's have a little bit of a recap. Let's get up to speed, shall we? Come on then.
Hello, welcome back to the Gran Turismo World Series.
Nations Cup back to its original format, single driver now. It's pretty much everyone for themselves.
2024, the 7th year of the Gran Turismo World Series, kicked off right here in Canada. The best sim racers in the world landed in Montreal for what was always going to be a hotly contested season of racing.
Trying to take advantage, trying to get his move done on the inside of Roach. Oh, this is getting very scrappy indeed. Serrano's going to be wide to that, goes for the defensive line, tries to park it on the outside. Miyazono goes for the outside line. Side by side they go, down into the chicane, and Miyazono leads!
And then we came to the Czech Republic, where round 2 had a few more surprises up its sleeve.
We have 8 cars right now squabbling for the lead. This ain't gonna end well. This is fantastic, isn't it?
Into the final corner. Here comes Drumont back through on the inside of Coque Lopez, sliding his way through. And Contentus Lopez gets spun round. Gallo wins the Nations Cup Grand Final here in Prague.
Round 3 in Tokyo did not disappoint, as the battle for the World Championship got more and more intense. Every single point was critical.
Oh, bang! Straight into the back. Kylian Drumont takes his first victory of the season in the Gran Turismo World Series. The Frenchman is on top in Tokyo. Miyazono go for a move here into the chicane. He's looking at it. Oh, he does! One more straight to go then to define the 2024 title in the Nations Cup. Miyazono pulls on the slipstream and signs his way past and strikes Drumont as well. Takuma Miyazono is the 2024 Nations Cup champion of the world here in Amsterdam.
World Series Round 1 Nations Cup. It's all about national pride, and I've got to say, I am feeling a little bit of that, but that's probably because we're here in my hometown. Now, as you can see for the Nations Cup recap, it was pretty spicy last year. Obviously, we had Miyazono, who was always on like incredible good form. But, you know, Drumont was not so far behind. Like, he could almost taste it. And I think, like, what we're trying to see this year is whether he can kind of keep his cool under pressure and get that win that he's been aggressively chasing over the past few years. What do you think? Do you think he can do it? Well, okay. I mean, Miyazono's pretty strong, so we'll have to see how it's going to shake out. Yeah, you're going to see some fantastic racing. Let's have a little bit of a look at the competition format. The Nations Cup features the best 12 drivers in the world from the 2025 Online Qualifiers. 9 countries are participating in the Nations Cup World Series this season. Spain, France and Japan are the most represented countries, with 2 drivers each. All of the drivers will get the chance to set a time over a one-lap attack to determine the grid for the sprint race. In the sprint, drivers will get behind the wheel of the Aston Martin Valkyrie, and how well they perform will determine their spot for the start of the Grand Final. All 12 drivers will battle it out in the Grand Final, with only the top 6 securing World Series points. On top of getting 6 points, first place gets a shiny trophy and is declared the winner of Round 1 in the Nations Cup World Series 2025.
Well, that's the competition format, and here are the stops on the 2025 Gran Turismo World Series calendar. Of course, we're kicking off tonight here in London. In September, we go to Berlin for round 2, and then it's all the way over to the west coast of the United States of America as we head to Los Angeles at the beginning of November. And then the season is bookended by the World Finals in Fukuoka, the last weekend right before Christmas. Hugely excited to see what's going to happen, and look at these cars here this weekend. We're at the Television Centre, the former home of the BBC. Some amazing cars on display. JB, you in particular loved that Toyota.
Yeah, we have this gorgeous Valkyrie here. I was like, nah, not interested. Show me the box in the background. Show me the Corolla. Awesome cars out front, including a very, very pretty RX-7 as well.
Yeah, it was hugely exciting to see all of those cars, and it just everyone fawning over them as well. The thing is, I was looking at that Valkyrie saying there's no way you can get that over a speed bump, but actually the nose does raise up. Apparently it looks like an off-roader or something.
Yeah, I have no idea how I got it still. But,
not the sort of car I'd like to take to Tesco.
I'm just glad it wasn't me who had to drive it in.
Absolutely. Well, anyway, let's have a look at the qualifying highlights from earlier on today. So it was a one-lap time attack at the Grand Valley Highway Speedway circuit, and in the Red Bull X 2019 cars, it is no mean feat. So one flying lap to set your best time. Initially, it was Angelo Stroza who had the advantage, the Chilean driver ahead of Guy Barbara and Takuma Sasaki, but then Adriano Corazza came over and bettered them by a 10th of a second.
Yeah, Corazza's always been good in these cars, but he didn't seem too happy with his time. But this is possibly why. Here comes Paul Ura, also someone very good in his X2019s, just about hips Corazza at the line. A 1:25.2, good enough for the time, a provisional pole, but no one seemed very happy, did they, Tommy? His provisional pole doesn't seem to care.
No, it was all eyes on Jose Serrano. He was one of the last drivers to set a lap time in that session, and the Spaniard was on an absolute flyer. A 10th of a second was the advantage he picked up in the final sector, and he carried that all the way to the checkered flag to claim provisional pole position in the qualifying session. You can see what it meant for the young Spaniard. His compatriot there, Paul Ura, also giving him some kudos as well. We waited to see, though, what the reigning world champion Takuma Miyazono would be able to do. Would he be able to depose him at the end of that session? Well, it was a bit of a scruffy lap in the end from Takuma Miyazono. He lost time in the middle part of the lap, and he carried that all the way to the checkered flag. You can see 7th was the best that the reigning world champion could do going into the sprint race. So, yeah, not ideal at all there for Takuma.
Yeah, but Serrano, of course, evidently very happy. Someone very quick last year in Nations Cup in 24, looking to do well here in 25. And here are the qualifying results as they are in full. The two Spaniards, Serrano and Nura, booking out the front row of Corazza and Drumont in 3rd and 4th, respectively. Lubutale and Inestrosa there, 5th and 6th. Good qualifying from Inestrosa, middle of the grid there.
Yeah, good qualifying also from Sam Cardinal down there in 12th place. I know he's last on the grid, but he's only a 10th of a second away from some very regular drivers in the GT World Series.
Yeah, he won't like that, Tom.
No, of course he won't. But still, you know, I don't think that that's a bad result at all for him there. Let's have a look, though, at the sprint race, because it is all changed. No X2019s and no Grand Valley Highway to worry about in the sprint race. We now change over to the Aston Martin Valkyrie. And we're at the 24 Hours of Le Mans circuit, the Circuit de la Sarthe. 5 laps of this one. It's going to be a slipstream battle, surely.
Yeah, pretty much. And there's no mandatory tyre change, so it is just a sprint race on this soft tyre. And as you say, Tom, it's slipstream central. We've got 3 or 4 massive straights around here, so car positioning is going to be very important, as is battery deployment. These cars have a manual battery you can use as well, so using that in the right spot is super important to making sure you get a good position around here.
Well, the Aston Martin Valkyrie is the car the drivers will be competing in. Of course, we're in the United Kingdom. We've got to have an Aston Martin at some point, haven't we, really? The drivers have been able to get a good idea of what it looks like close up here in London with all the cars we've had on display. In terms of racing conditions, though, I think it's going to be a bit of a spicy one, this, because, like I say, it couldn't be more different, really, from the X2019 in terms of power delivery, in terms of just the whole format of the car, really.
Well, look at that, 1,500 horsepower nearly. That is a lot of power. I ain't got to tell you that. And I've been told that this car, with the battery help, can get up to nearly 400 kilometres an hour down the straight. So it's going to be a rapid lap around here regardless. Then add into that, trying to jostle the position with everyone around you. It's going to be hectic. It's going to be a fun one, this one.
Yeah, absolutely is. Looking forward to seeing what's going to happen. A 5-lap sprint, and as you said, no worries about tyre changes. What this race will do is determine the grid order for the grand final. So, of course, you want to be doing as good a job as you possibly can to get as high up the order as you possibly can. Drivers are getting their last bits of practice in ahead of this sprint race. So what do you think is going to be going through the mind of the likes of Jose Serrano? He's starting at the front of the grid. Is that an advantage, though, going into this?
That's the thing around here. We just spoke about slipstream. Being at the front is great for bragging rights for qualifying, but you're going to be the person punching the hole in the air for all the cars behind you. So probably not the best place to be, but there is no best place to be. I mean, to be honest, if you're Kylian Drumont or Tazaki or Sam Cardinal, they're starting a bit further down the grid. Having this sort of toe actually is a bit of an advantage to be able to get in and maybe make up some places.
Well, track limits have also been a big point of contention during qualifying as well. We were watching some drivers practicing at this circuit earlier on, and I think about half the grid had a half-second time penalty at one point or another. It's on the longest straight on the circuit where that penalty has to be served as well, so it can cost you, if it feels bunched up, 3 or 4 places.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's part of the practice. You go and find out just where you can maybe take a bit more curb than usual, and then when you're going to get slapped for it with a penalty. Penalties are awarded automatically in game, so there's no judge of fact. It's either you get one or you don't. So that's something that can really affect the racing here today.
Absolutely. Looking at some of the other drivers a bit further down the grid as well, former world champion Valerio Gallo, he's right behind Takuma Miyazono in 8th position, so he'll be hoping to make some forward progress from there. In terms of the lineup, is there anybody that you were surprised maybe could have done better in qualifying than they did?
You know what? Someone who had a really good run of form in the last year was Guy Barbaro. He was always qualifying top 3, top 4. He's right down the bottom here, qualifying in a P10 there, so a P9, sorry. So not a great qualifying session from him, but maybe we'll move forward. We know he's aggressive, we know he can do that, so keep an eye out for him.
Well, the field spread was incredibly close, half a second separating 12 drivers. I mean, that is very, very tight indeed, and indeed 0.2 of a second separating the top 5. So, yeah, you couldn't really ask for much closer, to be honest.
Not really. The guys right now, at the moment, just having that last little bit of preparation before we get into the race. Completely different from being at home. A huge crowd here behind cheering them on. Very hard to drown those out. But that's what we have those lovely headphones for. They're pretty good at noise cancelling those. But just get into the race now.
Absolutely. Drivers then ready to go here in London. Gran Turismo World Series Nations Cup sprint race to the side of the grid for the grand final. It's about to get underway. grid then is lined up. Jose Serrano starts this one on pole position. Paul Ura, his compatriot, alongside on the front row of the grid. Adriano Carrazza from Brazil heads row 2, and he has got Kylian Drumont, the Frenchman, on home soil at the Circuit de la Sarthe for company. Thomas Laboutelet heads row 3 in the Aston Martin, of course, and then it is Angel Inestrosa, 6th position on the grid. Takuma Miyazono, P7, he's the reigning world champion with Valerio Gallo for company. Completing the top 10 is Guy Barbara, the Australian, and just on the fringes of it is Takuma Sasaki, who will be hoping for better fortunes in the race. Kai de Bruin lines up P11, the Dutchman, and then 12th position is the newcomer. Samuel Cardinal, the Canadian, is at the back of the field. So, soft tyres for the drivers, 5 laps and a rolling start here, Jimmy.
Yes, not really much you can do in terms of strategy. It is just, as suggested, an all-out sprint race, all about pace here. So, will we see the 2 Spanish drivers work together as we have in the past? Will we see Carrazza get into the mix, and will we see Miyazono move up? All remains to be seen, but 5 laps time we're going to have our grid for the grand final.
Absolutely. How important is this for the grand final, Jimmy? Because the circuit we're going to be racing on, completely different in terms of characteristics.
Yeah, I mean, here overtaking is fairly easy with a slipstream, but the Grand Valley circuit a bit later on, much tighter, much twistier, and getting by someone there is completely different. So getting that qualifying position here is going to be super, super important.
Absolutely. Well, there is Guy Barbara. He's starting a bit further down the order than he would like. Let's see what forward progress he can make over the course of this one, as Jose Serrano leads the field to the timing line. Paul Ura follows him, and Adriano Carrazza, as we get the sprint race underway here. The Nations Cup Gran Turismo World Series in London is go, as Serrano leads them up towards the Dunlop curve, and as they head into the chicane, is anybody going to think about a move on the brakes? Well, the rolling start spreads the field out a little bit there, so there's no dive bomb moves, but Carrazza gets tagged there by Drumont into the first corner, just sends the Brazilian a little bit wide and might leave him under a bit of pressure. In turn, what that has done is allowed Serrano and Ura a bit more of a gap at the sharp end, as it's all bottlenecked up behind.
Yeah, this is exactly what the Spanish drivers wanted at this point. They wanted to have that gap straight away, and Carrazza's given it to him. Laboutelet there in 4th place. Now we get into the first big slipstream part of the circuit. These guys also have a battery to use too, so they're all into the battery right now, up to speed, 360 kph, 370, 380 like it's nothing. Over 400 kilometers now as we go side by side down to the first Mulsanne chicane here, 3 wide. Someone's got to break first, and Drumont goes on the inside of everyone up into 3rd place, but now there's carnage in the back.
Carrazza's off
everywhere.
Carrazza's off, and he's off in a big way as well, right down to the back of the field. Inestrosa also caught up in some strife there, as well as he dropped right down the order.
So yeah, still going now as Drumont and Laboutelet have found themselves already with a 2.5 second gap from the Spanish cars ahead. So really, this is a great start for Serrano and Ura, but a nightmare for the rest. They're already out of 16 range, and if they keep fighting like this, all they're going to do is let them go further and further away. But rolling in that one halfway down the straight, coming now down the slowest part of the corner, the Mulsanne corner, down the bottom here. Heavy braking zone, great place to overtake, but right now everyone seems to have, I think, got through okay. We've lost Carrazza, 18 seconds down. Nightmare start for him, Tom.
Yeah, not ideal at all for the Brazilian driver. He always seems to be in bother, and I don't think that was particularly of his own making there, unfortunately. Meanwhile, further back you can see driver getting pretty close for company. Let's have a look and see what happens. So Drumont's going to send it through on the inside into this corner. He goes up ahead of Laboutelet. Keep an eye out for Carrazza, 3rd in your picture. He biffs it into the back then of Laboutelet, and then gets tagged by Inestrosa behind, who in turn gets hit by another driver there as well.
I think Miyazono might have been the one that started that off. I mean, it's quite difficult, but the upshot of that is Kai de Bruin in 5th place has come up from 2nd to last. So Kai de Bruin, the Dutch driver, with a fantastic start there. You can see the battery being used, and you can see exactly what I thought. Both Spanish drivers have just tried to get away. They've drained that battery, and it's worked. The gap now up to 3.6 seconds from Paul Ura to Thomas Laboutelet behind. But now, of course, they're going to be lacking that power for the next lap. So it might come back to bite them, but this is exactly what these guys want.
Absolutely, the 2 Spaniards clearly working together at this point in the race. The problem is that they're involved in a bit of a stalemate, really. They're sort of driving this race with their shoelaces tied together, and eventually a civil war is going to unravel between the two, if it carries on as it is as we head in towards the latter stages, because of course they'll want to finish ahead of one another to get pole position ahead of the grand final.
I mean, ultimately it is Nations Cup, it's every man for themselves, but their compatriots, they would have spoken about this before the race, probably devised some kind of plan. And meanwhile, Laboutelet leading Kylian Drumont 3rd and 4th. Behind them, Kai de Bruin, great start from him. Sasaki as well, also up 4 places from his starting position. The big losers on that one, Miyazono, Inestrosa and Karatsa. Disaster again for Miyazono, our reigning champion, down in 9th position currently.
Yeah, Karatsa down in 12th position there as well. So let's head on the top of the Pops charts. We're going through them so quickly. Some drivers have made some big gains. Some have lost out quite significantly. We ride on board though with Paul Ura, who will be trying to deploy what he's got left of that battery. We saw the two Spaniards using that and leaning on it quite heavily over the course of that last lap to try and build out that buffer whilst they all squabbled behind. So it's the two Spaniards, Serrano and Ura, that lead Laboutelet and Drumont, and then they're all going to be lining astern and closing up against one another as they head down the Mulsanne straight. Indeed, third place has just changed hands there. Drumont now in front of Laboutelet.
Yeah, so these guys now in third and fourth need to really work together. And they're going to catch this little pair in front. A reminder, the finishing positions of this race sets a grid for the grand final. The grand final is being set on a circuit which is much twisted and it's interesting. Laboutelet there, given a 1 second penalty. Maybe for his part in what happened at the start there.
Must be.
I admit I'm not entirely sure what that's for, but that does mean though when we get to the penalty line, Serrano's gone deep there, and the second Mulsanne chicane. That's now Paul Ura right back onto the rear diffuser of Serrano's car, and just like that, the lead tightens back up again.
Yeah, so close quarters here between these two at the moment. So let's see whether Ura is going to think about finding his way through. If I were him, I'd just be sitting in his wheel tracks, waiting for those mistakes to creep in and just trying to use the advantage of that slipstream. You know, he's going to be saving his tyres. You can see Serrano again a bit wide through the right-hander there, and that's just going to be costing him a bit of time. But look at the penalties that are being picked up here. De Bruyn's got one. Laboutelet has got a 1 second penalty there as well. So Laboutelet, we know that's for the contact. De Bruyn, presumably, that must be for track limits.
Man, these guys are all just costing each other a chance at the win here, picking up these penalties, because they're going to have no one to work with going on the straight here. Here is Kylian Drumont on the left-hand side of your screen, alongside Thomas Laboutelet. Now, they'll come out of Arnage, which is the slowest corner on the circuit, it's right-hander here, and then immediately be hit with a 1 second slowdown, where the brakes are applied automatically for 1 second. The car goes lowest round you can go through. Here it is. Here's the line. That's where sadness starts. So it's not just a second of slowing down, you have to then try and get back up to speed again. So just like that, Laboutelet and De Bruyn go back down to 7th and 8th position. Yeah,
Laboutelet means dropping down those positions means that Drumont loses his ally, essentially, doesn't he, there really as well. So those two cannot work together. Meanwhile, we see Serrano still under pressure here from Ura. The compatriot has not found his way past as it stands. These two, of course, they know how to work together as a team. They were part of the Spanish lineup that won the Nations Cup back in 2023. And let's see how they unravel here in this race. Through the forward chicane we go, across the timing line, all ready to begin lap number 3. They get on the loud pedal and on the battery. You can see the crowd here watching on in London. They're absolutely loving this one. Miyazono's picking up a penalty, and also Barbara there as well. So these must be track limits penalties, because we're not seeing anything coming up on our screen saying that there is an investigation underway for any kind of contact or incident or something along the lines of that. So we were talking about it prior to the start of this race, Jimmy, and indeed it's coming true here now as well.
It's so easy to pick them up. Carden's got one as well now. So 3 drivers currently out there now with cut track penalties. And this is the thing, you're really trying to maximise everything around here. The level of this competition is just so high. So if you can just find that extra half attempt somewhere on a curb, you're gonna take it. Yeah, all track limit penalties are being told there. So a real shame for those guys.
So, look at Takuma Sasaki. What about Valerio Gallo? Is he going to find his way through? Oh, hang on a minute. Here comes Ura as well, right on the back of Jose Serrano. Does he go for it? No, he doesn't. He backs right off going into the braking zone there.
Doesn't need to go for it, does he? I mean, like, if you're Paul Ura right now and you want to win this race, what you have to do is to stay behind Serrano, save your battery, and then just ambush him on the last lap, and there'll be nothing that Serrano can do about it. Although, who's to say Serrano isn't safe in battery too? But these guys, they don't want to. Oh, there you go. We're seeing a change in position there. So Paul Ura now going up into the lead. That seems orchestrated to me. These guys definitely have a plan, don't they, Tom?
They've got to. No doubt about it. De Bruyn, meanwhile, dropped down to 11th place. You were waxing lyrical about him on the opening lap there, Jimmy, and unfortunately he's now down in second but last. I think he was involved in some contact with Guy Barbara, potentially, who sent it to the inside. Yeah, the door was always going to close there, unfortunately, and it sent De Bruyn round like a tabletop, unfortunately. Oh, and it sent Barbara into the wall there on the second phase of that Porsche curve.
No, that's a big repair, Bill, with Valkyrie, I'll tell you that.
Gallo still sits on the back here of Takuma Sasaki, down into the Mulsanne corner. Brake disc glowing red there. Sasaki a little bit wide onto the curb on the exit. That might compromise his run as we head up towards Indianapolis then. So Gallo in the wheel tracks, in the slipstream. He'll want to try and find his way through on Sasaki before too long. And indeed, he pulls alongside him now, looks for the inside line into the right-hander. And before we've even made it there, he's got through. Such is the straight line speed advantage with that slipstream. His next target will be Kylian Drumont, who's about a second or so up the road. So Gallo, what he needs... Oh, he picks up a half-second penalty for track limits, though.
It's one of those things, isn't it? It's a shame for Gallo to get a penalty like that, but yeah, you've got to watch out. They all know where the limits are, and that's it. But that means Sasaki will be released. Sasaki up 5 places from his grid position. So a great start from the Japanese driver, but at the moment, it just seems that Serrano and Ura have this one already sewn up.
Yeah, plethora of penalties coming in. The timing screens lighting up like a rental car dashboard here at the moment. Such are the drivers that are just really exceeding the track limits, unfortunately. Yeah, definitely is. That's why I can't get higher cars anymore. Miyazono, meanwhile, he's not made much of an impact on this race, has he? Barbara picks up a 3-second penalty for his part in that collision with Kylian Drumont that we saw last lap. So he'll be very disappointed with that. Not only has he lost time on track, he's now going to lose positions here to Inestrose. Don't think he'll lose out to De Bruyne, but yeah, not ideal at all there for the Aussie.
Messy so far, really messy so far. I think that everyone just knew straight away it was going to be just a job to try and stop these Spanish drivers. All went in for that same bit of tarmac, and it's just been chaos from there. I mean, Kylian Drumont, his gap to the guys in front of him, he was very, very slightly quicker than first and second last lap, but not enough really to do much about their lead as is. So for everyone else now, it's just about trying to get another position, because as a reminder, these finishing the positions here for this race sets the grid for the grand final where points can be won. So obviously it doesn't really matter so much if you get up to the lead from starting P7 in the grand final, but it's going to make your job a lot harder starting further down the grid.
Ura and Serrano still exchanging places at the sharp end of this one. We're already on the penultimate lap here of this. It's pretty sensible up at the sharp end of this. Do you think it's just by its very nature, because it's been a sprint race, as to why this race has been, let's say, scrappier than we would normally see?
I don't really know, honestly. I'd love to give you an answer. I think it's just Le Mans, isn't it? People think, well, okay, I can launch it over this car. We've got a very high-powered downforce car here, so I'm going to take more risks. And these risks, unfortunately, go away. Gallo, that penalty to serve, of course, as well, as does Barbara and Cardinal. Serrano taking the lead once again back away from Pol Ura. I wonder if they are going to have a fight at the end, because ultimately they are against each other. You don't get a prize, a joint first place. There is one winner and one loser. Second place, just say, really. What they say, if you ain't first, you're last.
Yeah, no points on offer in this race, just to remind you, as Jimmy said earlier on, it is all about the grid positions, and I wonder if there's going to be some dress rehearsals coming through in this penultimate lap, just to prepare us for what is to come at the sharp end of this one between Serrano and Ura. They've got to be careful and play it pretty safe, but you can see the advantage that Ura's got with that slipstream, drags alongside Serrano as they go side by side into Indianapolis, and that was decisive and clinical there from Ura. I guess they're just trying to work out where their strengths and weaknesses are at these various points on the circuit, so as to be in the right position to attack on this final lap.
These cars are so fast around here. 3-minute, 4-second lap time from our leader last time around. Kylian Drumont there giving chase, and to be fair, he is making inroads. The gap now down to 3.3 seconds. It was nearly 4 seconds at the start of this lap, so he is starting to catch him. And as you can see, no battery left for Serrano or Ura, a little bit left there for Drumont, but Sasaki with half a battery, so he might be able to actually bridge that gap there to Drumont.
Yeah, he might be able to close it up, but I don't know if he'll be able to challenge for that podium position. But interestingly, out of the two at the front, Serrano has got 9% less than Ura at this point. So I wonder if that will pay dividends to Ura on this final lap. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it could make all the difference between passing and not passing for that race lead.
Yeah, I'm not aware of the specific amount of power the battery adds, but it's a significant push to pass. So if you have that in your arsenal, you are definitely going to do a little bit better than the guy who doesn't have it. So anyway, coming on to your last lap here in the sprint race, the Nations Cup. Serrano currently leading from Pol Ura, Spanish 1-2. Drumont in third place and Sasaki in fourth. And again, this is all to decide the grid positions in the race coming up next, the grand final.
Yeah, so down in towards this first sector we go. Coming on towards the Mulsanne straight. Now, this is where it has been pretty hectic at the sharp end of this one, and I would imagine that is set to continue. So Serrano it is that leads, but I guarantee Pol Jura is going to be all over his rear wing and his gearbox as we come onto this back straight, and indeed will probably try and find his way through as well. So onto the back straight we go, and let's see how Jura is going to play this one, and whether Serrano has got anything left to just halt the challenge of his fellow Spaniard as we come down here. At the moment, Serrano looks okay, but it's a fairly long run into that chicane. Don't think he'll do anything into the first one, but maybe Jura can line something up into the second one. And again, Serrano just seems to struggle on that mid-phase of the corner. It allows Jura to close up, but on the exit, Serrano gets a better run out of it, and Jura is left there with a bit more work to do.
There we go then, so Pol Jura will get an easy overtake here on the way down to Mulsanne 2, up into the lead for now. Half a lap left. Is that the move? Or has Serrano got something waiting as a reply? We'll see. Through the second Mulsanne chicane, now a run down to the Mulsanne corner, one of the tightest corners on the circuit. You break from 400 kph down to a standstill. Meanwhile, Leboutelet and Miyazono, who's coming back to the field after a poor start, looking to try and get a place.
Yeah, Leboutelet's just mugged Miyazono actually a couple of corners ago. Meanwhile, at the sharp end of this one, down into the Mulsanne corner, Serrano still holds on to the race lead, but the exit out of this one, the run in towards Indianapolis, is where we've seen moves being made. Is this going to be a pass from Jura on Serrano? So the slipstream for Jura, no slipstream for Jose Serrano. How much battery do they have left between the two of them as we come in towards this corner? And has Jura got anything left to try and find his way through?
They've got to be careful here because they could quite easily take each other out of contention here when they are in a comfy 1-2. So it's basically who wants first the most, I guess, and who's willing to give it up, because if they really are scrapping, there's a chance they can have each other off. We've seen it already up and down the field, but this really right here is going to be the last chance to overtake. And Serrano had a great exit there. Pol Jura really struggling for traction, but Jura is now on the battery and has the tow. The gap is coming down, but I don't think he's going to get there in time, Tom.
Yeah, so coming down into this final sector then, Serrano versus Jura. This is for pole position. The grand final! A late lunge to the inside there for Jura against Serrano, but the door very firmly shut by the race leader. They skim the wall on the outside, and now just 2 sets of chicanes remaining, and Serrano with enough of an advantage, unless he runs it wide or Jura goes for a dive bomb to the inside, but I don't think Jura's going to be close enough. Serrano has got track position. He's got enough in his back pocket to just cruise his way through these final chicanes, and unless he fluffs his lines, which he doesn't do so, it's Serrano running onto the gravel on the exit of the final corner, but he does win the sprint race here in London. It's Serrano in front of Pol Jura and Kylian Drumont in third place there on his home circuit at Le Mans as well. What a great end to that one.
Pol Jura, I didn't mean to do that, mate. Sorry about that. I just sort of sent it in a bit. But there you go, the two Spaniards absolutely dominating the sprint race there. I mean, that's something we've said before in the past, seen it in the past. These guys were all part of the 2023 Nations Cup Spanish team who won the Nations Cup that year in the free driver format. So very, very quick drivers in their own right, and of course they're just showing off, basically.
Yeah, that was spectacular stuff from those two drivers. The upshot is it is Jose Serrano who will line up on pole position for the grand final in a few minutes' time. Great job from Pol Jura, great respectful racing. I have to say, I thought that was a heck of a lunge from Jura, but if indeed it was just a mistake and he just misjudged that corner, then, you know, fair play, those things do happen in racing, but really good respect between those two.
Yeah, nice to see, and you expect nothing less. I mean, Miyazono there, probably my I think disappointment. He didn't really come through there, did he? He had loads of problems and just didn't quite get the package together for the race. Here's a replay of a start. This is where basically the race was won. But the Spanish guys, Carrazza and Estroza, Miyazono, kind of Brun, all getting together there, with Carrazza there being shoveled off and pretty much out of contention straight away.
Yeah, absolutely right. This is a great battle that we saw between the two Spaniards. They worked together so nicely while they were all beating each other up behind. Unfortunately, Guy Barbara managed to career into the side of Kai de Bruyne. In turn for that, he got a 3-second penalty and was demoted right towards the back of the field. And we wondered how this one would bubble up between the top two, whether the gloves would start to come off, but they were fairly respectful throughout. They were giving as good as they got. As we came onto the final lap, this was the move that Jura made on Serrano, but at the very next straight, Serrano was back through, and that is where he would stay until the checkered flag. I got a bit excited because he ran a bit wide at that final corner. Eventually, though, he would go through to be crowned as the winner. Let's go down and catch up with our winner. Jose Serrano is with Jules.
Wow, yeah, so I'm here with this is 1 and 2. Jose Serrano and Paul Ura, what were you messing about with at the end for? I mean, for goodness sake, is it really, got us very worried.
Was fantastic race, amazing. We worked with Paul, with the slipstream and with the battery. So yeah, so happy with the battle as well.
I mean, it was good, but it was a bit risky at the end. And you, what were you playing at?
Nothing. I braked too late, so it wasn't on purpose. I was just trying to. I braked as always. He braked very early. I was scared, but in the end, nothing happened. So.
We just thought you were being like a bit ballsy. We're like, that's a bit just right towards the end. You could really mess things up. But I mean, okay, you're right at the front. But obviously going into this, who are you, aside from each other, kind of who's going to be your biggest competition, you think, for the grand final?
Kylian for sure.
Yeah? He's gunning for everyone.
He's so fast.
Oh, yes. Yeah? How about you, Paul?
Yeah, I think so. But not only him. There are many others. So no, I'm talking seriously. Like there are many others.
Well, look, you did great. You're starting obviously from the best positions you can. Good luck in the grand final. Let's give them a round of applause. Didn't they do really, really well? Let's chuck it back up to Tom and Jimmy.
Nice one. Cheers there, Jules. So, sprint race results then. Jose Serrano, Paul Ura are your top two. Dominant display from the Super Spaniards here tonight. Kylian Drumont, though, third on the grid. He'll be pretty happy with that. Sasaki managed to elevate himself up from, 10th on the grid, up to 4th position at the checkered flag. Gallo moving his way up into 5th place. Laboutelet, he'll be disappointed given where he was running at the start of that one after the problems that he ran into. There'll be a few other drivers that have got a bit of work to do going into this grand final as well.
Yeah, really interesting hearing both Serrano and Paul Ura being like, Kylian, he'll come get us. Yeah. they both have big respect for Drumont and the pace he has. And I have to say again, Miyazono really putting in a performance that we don't often see from him. P7 is not really where we're used to seeing him.
No, absolutely not. Let's see what's going to happen then as we head into the grand final. But before that, Fanatec have got something new coming along the way. Have a look at this.
Feast your eyes on this. The latest CSL Elite Porsche Vision GT wheel from Fanatec. Fanatec have made this based off of the wheel from the Porsche Vision Gran Turismo concept car that you can drive in GT7. As you can imagine, it is an engineering marvel. It has a cast aluminium core built for serious force feedback, plus custom magnetic shifters that keep that stunning cutout spoke design. Jose Serrano, who drives for Porsche in the Manufacturers' Cup, tried it earlier and was pretty impressed.
Well, hugely excited for that. Anyway, don't forget, the Gran Turismo World Series, we're not just here in London, we're going to Berlin, we're going to LA, we're going to Fukuoka. I cannot wait for this. It is going to be hugely exciting. Jimmy, what's the stop on the calendar that's a highlight for you?
I don't know, really. I mean, this one, because there's 2 hours from my house. That was quite nice. I mean, obviously great to travel the world, but jet lag, she kicks hard, especially for LA, especially for Fukuoka. But very much looking forward to all these rounds and to be finishing again in Japan. I think it's the right place for these series to finish.
Right before Christmas as well, we'll go and get a bucket of fried chicken afterwards. Why not? It's the tradition over there, isn't it? Yeah, looking forward to seeing what's going to happen then here for the Nations Cup Grand Final. That'll be along the way in a few moments' time. So now we know the grid, Jimmy. Does that give us any indication as to what we can expect for that race, though?
I don't know. I mean, like, the Grand Valley circuit, it's a tricky track to pass. I mean, there are a couple of big stops here, but if you're further down the grid, I keep mentioning Miyazono because he's my sort of outlier here, but if you're him, you're going to have a really tough time carrying through that field. But of course, a bit different this race. Strategy's going to come into play as well, so it's not all over for those who didn't qualify in the top 3 or 4.
Well, I was just about to say, for the likes of Adriano Carrazza, I mean, if he fell into a barrel of shoes, he'd have come out wearing socks after that one. He just seemed to have absolutely no luck at all.
What?
Let's have a look at the grand final race details, though. So we're back in the Red Bull X 2019. We're at the Grand Valley Highway 1 reverse circuit, so the same conditions that we did the earlier qualifying highlights that we saw in. Racing hard, medium and soft tyres. They must use at least 2 tyre compounds in this race. Of course, the grid is determined by the sprint, and it's a 30-lapper as well. And, I mean, look at that track map. You can see how many fast and medium-speed corners are. The tyres are going to get absolutely hammered around here.
Yeah, and it kind of has a lot of characteristics of a street circuit, this. There isn't really any runoff, just a barrier to greet you. And when you're driving this, our Red Bull X 2019, using all that space on the corner exit is super important, but very easy to get it wrong. So 650 kg, over 800 brake horsepower, quite comparable to a top Formula Series you guys might have heard of. But very, very fast car, lots of aero as well, which when you're leading is great. When you're in a pack of 10 of them, not so good.
No, we know these cars are particularly heavy on fuel as well, so keep an eye out for drivers having to refuel over the course of that on who is going to be able to conserve it better. This is what we think in terms of the strategy now. We've had a look at these before, and they've proven to be, I don't want to say inaccurate is the impolite word of putting it, but drivers seem to sort of have a look at that and say, yeah, do you know what, I can go for 10 laps on the soft tyres. It'll be fine. What do you think is going to happen, Jimmy, if you look into your crystal ball?
Oh, yeah, Mystic Meg here. I don't know. It's a tough one because I think that we have such a long pit loss time, 21 seconds, plus the stop duration. That's a long time in the pit box. And is that really worth a couple more laps on the soft tyre? So I think for me, the middle strat's the most attractive one. A bit longer than the mediums and have a fast stint on the softs at the end. I think, as always in these competitions, hard tyre here is lava. It's just so much slower than the rest of the tyres round here. So much so that even here, where it's most durable, in that strat at the bottom, you still have it less than the medium. Work that one out.
But the converse of that, you're doing one fewer stop. You lose, you lose 25 fewer seconds if you can hold that time. It's all going to work out one way or another, isn't it? Will anybody go for the hard tyre strategy? Don't forget about the winner campaign as well. In terms of what the vote looks like going into this race, well, despite not a particularly brilliant sprint race a few moments ago for Takuma Miyazono, he's still got the lion's share of the votes.
Not by a little bit either. 65%. Paul Euro second and Drumont in third there. So, I mean, do you reckon he feels that? Do you reckon he knows he has that sort of level of support behind it? It must be some pressure for Takuma Miyazono, who's recently been expanding his racing to the real world too. I've actually shared a circuit with him at the Nürburgring. Guy is very fast indeed. So Paul Euro there, also very quick, and Kylian Drumont, again, someone else we know is capable of winning races in these X2019 cars. The field's just so strong this year, Tom.
Yeah, there's a real depth of competition, and keep an eye out for some of the outliers right towards the back. Adriano Carrazza's got to make his way through. Guy Barbara has got to make some progress in this race. Sam Cardinal, we didn't see the best from him in that wise as well. So, yeah, it's all going to be exciting to see what happens. But before we get this race underway, let's go down on the floor and catch up with Jules.
Well, yes, it is now time for the Nations Cup Grand Final. London, are you ready? Come on, you can do better than that. Are you ready? Okay, you better be ready at home because it starts now.
Well, it all comes down to this then. The Nations Cup Grand Final is along the way in a few moments' time. Takuma Miyazono, last few moments to try and get himself ready and focused to go for this race. But here is how the grid will line up. Lots of action to come at the Grand Valley Highway reverse circuit in the Red Bull X2019s, and Jose Serrano has got a clean view down towards that first corner. His compatriot Paul Euro alongside him. Brilliant they both were in that sprint race a few moments ago. Kylian Drumont heads row 2, and he has got Takuma Sasaki, who made his way up from 10th to 4th at the checkered flag. Gallo lines up P5 at the head of row 3, and alongside him is Thomas Leboutelet. Next up, Takuma Miyazono, the reigning world champion. Not been his day so far in the Nations Cup. Can he make forward progress from there with Angelina Stroza for company alongside? Guy Barbara just on the fringes of the top 10, and completing it is Kai de Bruyne, who we saw in the wars in the sprints. And also Adriano Carrazza, he'll be wanting to move forwards from 11th position. And Sam Cardinal, we haven't really seen much from the new-coming Canadian here. And we do now see a look at the tyre strategies, Jimmy. Lots of drivers starting on the medium tyres, but a few on the hards as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think you take a stab at it, right? If you're not really at the front of the field, maybe just bolt the hard on, get rid of it, and then hope for the best. I mean, we'll see how that strategy plays out, but this will also be the first time the other competitors can see what the other drivers are on as well, to get an idea of their strategy. But Serrano, Euro and Drumont opting for that medium compounder tyre, so they'll be looking to get some space at the start, but Leboutelet is going to be the cork in the bottle for the midfield. They always get by him as soon as possible. He's going to be very slow at the start. than that hard compounded tyre.
So a rolling start then for the drivers in this race. We'll spread the field out down towards that first corner, but crucially, who is going to be leading when the checkered flag falls here in the Nations Cup? We're about to find out. 30 laps of action to come for our drivers, and of course they must use 2 or more tyre compounds in this race. Very hard wearing of the Red Bull X 2019s on their tyres, but the grand final for the Nations Cup in London is underway as Serrano leads the field towards the first corner with Pol Ura, Kylian Drumont, Sasaki Gallo all in tow behind. All of those top 5 drivers on the medium compound tyre. Keep an eye out for Labutle. He's sort of the cork in the bottle for the drivers behind because he's in 6th place on the slower, harder compound, and it really does bottleneck up between these first couple of corners. But a clean start at the sharp end of this race means that Serrano leads from Ura.
Yeah, Gallo there just about staying ahead of Labutle, but as you say, really, really difficult through their first lap. All the cars vying for that same bit of tarmac. Drumont there just sitting behind Pol Ura for now. Guy Barbara already up 2 places, as is Kai De Bruin on that soft compound tyre. Keep an eye out for Kai. He's the only one who's gone for that soft tyre early, so he's been very fast here, but won't be able to use the best of that tyre in clean air. But it looks like Serrano right now actually a little bit slower and struggling there on exit of the corner, getting those wheels lit up and the rear tyres spinning. Maybe not quite got the temperature in those medium compound tyres yet.
Well, the cars are great when they've got aerodynamic grip, but when they're in these slow corners, they're particularly difficult to drive because you haven't got the air flowing over the car, and there's just not the same levels of downforce that you would be contending with. Labutle, meanwhile, is dropping down the order. He's down into 10th position, so that's to be expected because he's on the hard compound tyre relative to those on the mediums around him. So he's deciding to take the pain in the early stages of this one in the hope that the race will come back to him a little bit later on. The converse is happening for Kai De Bruin. He's hoping to make progress while the field is all bunched up, while he's on the soft tyres and he's on everyone else is on the medium tyres, as we see Ura going at the start of lap 2 for the race lead against Serrano.
Yeah, straight away, straight by goes Pol Ura up into the lead. Drumont now having to defend from Sasaki. Comes into a very, very difficult braking zone down here into this really tight. It's more than 180 degrees of rotation through there. Serrano keeping 2nd place from Drumont, who's now right there. And they both, the Spanish driver said there before the race, that Drumont is the one they are looking out for. He is the driver that they fear. So trying their best to keep him there for now, but the first 5 cars all glued together, and De Bruin up into 5th position.
Yeah, making good progress there is Kai De Bruin. What's happened here with Miyazono and Labutle? Labutle got biffed by Miyazono into the back there. Did that cost him a bit of time? Well, actually, it helped Labutle a little bit because it drew him alongside Valerio Gallo. Guy Barbara, stage left, he goes through on Miyazono for 7th position there as well. So that just goes to show when it all bottlenecks up like that in those tight and twisty sections, one mistake can cost you very dear.
Yeah, it can, and Miyazono there just getting things a little bit wrong. Kai De Bruin up into 4th place. He is charging right now, really making the most of this soft compound tyre. The others are almost standing still by comparison now. Coming to the top of the circuit, it's the left hand, and that's Kai's going to look up the inside. Can he make a move on Kylian Drumont? Not quite close enough for that, but he's going to have a great exit here using the traction of that soft compound tyre and the tow, and he might have a go here on Drumont as we come across the start-finish line. Onto lap 3 we go. Kai De Bruin to the inside. See the indicator there flashing on Kylian Drumont. He said, you know what, mate, go by. I don't want to fight you right now. And Kai De Bruin now up 7 places from his starting position.
Yeah, that's a great bit of strategy there from Kai De Bruin in the early stages. You can see he's a full-time automotive engineering student, so I wonder whether he's been putting that into practice here today. He's all over the back of Jose Serrano, sticking to him like a sweaty shirt at the moment as he tries to find his way through on the Spaniard for 2nd position. We're on the back straight in towards the left-hander who'll have more grip under braking and dives his way to the inside. De Bruin driving past Serrano like he was standing still.
You know what, I was saying earlier that he needs to make the most of this soft tyre, and he's kind of doing it. He's just getting by people nice and quickly, and then into the back of Pol Ura there, just showing the difference in the speed on the apex there between the medium and that soft compound tyre. Actually caught Kai De Bruin out a little bit, and now where will he pass? Because he needs to pass and just put away. That's the scrap now for him on the inside. Is he going to make it done? Kai De Bruin goes from 10th position on the grid up to 1st in just over 3.5 laps from that soft compound tyre. So let's see now what the Dutchman can do.
Well, now he needs to pull out a gap, doesn't he, with Ura? He needs to stop fighting with him and use those soft tyres to the best of their advantage, because of course they're all well and good while they're in the great operating window that Kai de Bruyne is in, but they do wear out very, very quickly. And the last thing you want is a set of tyres that's like chewing gum, because you won't be able to get any traction, any grip at all, and they'll be all over the shop. Jura is not going to take this one lying down, though, as we come through into the tunnel at the start of lap 4, and he's in the slipstream here, is Pol Jura. Can he take advantage of the fact that de Bruyne doesn't have the hole being punched in the air in front of him? Oh no, he's not able to find his way through on the Dutchman, so now Kai de Bruyne needs to get his head down, needs to pull out an advantage to be able to salvage something later on in this race, because presumably, being on those soft tyres, he's going to have to go a stop longer than some others.
So Pol Jura actually there was trying to get out of the slipstream, probably thinking, well, what is he doing that for? Because he doesn't want to fight Kai de Bruyne right now, because you can see there is an obvious pace differential. The worst thing you can do for the long race, you've got to look into the future and not just the lap you're on, is just have that fight and lose that time. So good for Pol Jura. Serrano in third as well, still there. Drumont still there, as is Gallo and Sasaki. So here really your main contenders at the moment. And Kai de Bruyne is now in the process of starting to open up a gap, half a second now between himself and Pol Jura, but he is sort of putting these guys along a little bit.
Yeah, the rest of the field on the medium tyres from second down to 10th, all pretty even. I have to say, de Bruyne, though, picking up a penalty for a collision with another car. Was that due to the contact with Jura that we saw in the last lap?
Maybe? I mean...
Let's have a look.
The stewards know better than what's happening.
Oh, it was earlier on. So it was with Guy Barber, he's just going to biff it into the back of him.
That's pretty clear cut there. We missed that one on the broadcast. So Kai de Bruyne, after having a great start, is now going to have a second penalty, which is going to pretty much get rid of all that work he's done and really put paid to the Dutchman's efforts there. What a shame. What a shame.
Yeah, absolute tragedy there for Kai de Bruyne, because he was driving so well. Carrazza picks up a 2-second penalty for a collision as well. He has been in the wars here tonight, unfortunately, as we look at Valerio Gallo with a train of cars in front of him. Kylian Drumont directly ahead, and then the two Spaniards of Serrano and Jura just up the road. This is going to go from a battle for second position up to a battle for the race lead effectively in a moment, because Kai de Bruyne is going to go through, or is Gallo going to get caught out? He does just get stuck behind Kai de Bruyne after the Dutchman has served his penalties. The question is now, though, has de Bruyne got any life left in those tyres to dispose of those top three once again? The problem is, as you said, Jimmy, all that hard work has already been undone, so now he's on the back foot.
Yeah, it's, I'm not quite sure where his race goes from here. I mean, he will still have that soft tyre pace, so he'll be able to get by these guys again if they let him do it. But now, they've let him by once before. They don't want to do that again, because they are also looking after their own race as well. And getting out of someone's way is always going to cost you time. But on board now is Kai de Bruyne. Look at the back of Kylian Drumont in front. Now, this is really one of the better overtaking spots up here, this hairpin in his reverse circuit. So he might have a look here. There's a big lunge up the inside. Wow, big move there by Kai de Bruyne. I think he knows now he doesn't need to make these moves. He was going to make this strategy work at all. But Drumont did well there to open the steering and sort of let him by.
There's a nice dive to the inside there for Kai de Bruyne. The problem he's got is those tyres are going to be coming towards the end of their useful shelf life in a couple of laps or so. So he really does need to make haste and try and pull out an advantage. He's all over the back of Jose Serrano's rear wing and trying to find his way through on the Spaniard. A dive to the inside is what he needs, and he gets it done into second place there for Kai de Bruyne.
Yeah, nice from Kai de Bruyne again, having to do it all again. Will Pol Jura do the same and just let him through? I mean, it's great viewing for us, having Kai just leave the field and, and go back through it again periodically, but for him, yeah, to the inside there. Oh, and Pol Jura actually didn't see him coming. Kai de Bruyne goes very wide there, and Jura back up into the lead. So I think Kai thought he'd have the place definitely there, and Pol Jura turned in. I think, to use an old adage, that he got to the apex first, did Kai de Bruyne. So I don't know, we'll see what our stewards think of that.
Yeah, some aggressive dives to the inside there for Kai de Bruyne. I mean, he needs to do that, doesn't he, really? But the problem is, like you say, he should be a second and a half, nearly 2 seconds up the road now at this point, and he's not. He's 2/10 up the road, which is going to be at a big disadvantage in a few minutes' time, especially with those rear tyres, which are, as you can see, significantly more worn than the other drivers behind, come towards the end of that stint.
So here we are then, coming on to the end of lap 7. Pol Jura and Serrano there. Still at the front, really, when you think about it. I mean, Kai de Bruyne isn't that soft compound tyre, but he's not utilised that to its best effort with the penalty earlier on for contact with Guy Barbara. On board with Takuma Miyazono, who is still here, right? He's still here. He's just in the back of his pack right now, biding his time. And Pol Jura is now fighting Kai de Bruyne. He's had enough of sitting behind the Dutchman. I think now Kai's tyres are starting to go the other way. The soft tyres starting to wear, and there's more contact there with Pol Jura desperate driving now from Kai de Bruyne, I think, Tom.
Yeah, it's like giving Dracula the keys to the blood bank, this, isn't it? He's trying his best here to hold on to these positions, but I just can't see it working there for Kai de Bruyne, unfortunately. He just cost himself so much time with that penalty, and he's now going to be a bit of a sitting duck to all of those drivers who sit in his wheel tracks behind.
We'll just keep an eye on that for now. But this is actually quite nice for Paul Jurek. He's got the buffer now to the rest of the guys behind him. So not the worst thing in the world to have Kai de Bruyne in between you, but still running strong at the moment. See this awesome Grand Valley circuit. I often wonder sometimes what would happen if the barriers weren't there. It could be quite entertaining, but until wide it is over.
Yeah, you have to get good at swimming, wouldn't you? Or find out how good the X2019s are at swimming, certainly. Let's have a look at something going on behind. This was, Miyazono with a lunge to the inside of Sasaki. And Gallo, I think, was just a little bit slower than Miyazono was expecting going into that corner. Miyazono nearly got 2 for the price of 1. But eventually had to back out of it. Meanwhile, we see De Bruyne going for a defensive line here against Serrano for second position, but just nothing doing for Serrano at the moment. But you would imagine, again, Kai de Bruyne now coming on to lap 8. This is where we're expecting the soft tyre runners to come in, and De Bruyne being the only one of those. Look at those tyres, they are significantly more worn than the others around him, and it's going to leave him vulnerable here. But I say that, he does get up ahead of Ura with the advantage of the slipstream, but has he got the grip then under braking to retain that lead? He does for now, at least.
I wonder if they can make this tyre go 10 laps, this soft tyre. That will change the landscape of the race quite considerably for everyone else around them as well. So Kai, I mean, he's not pulling away, but he's still there. He's still in that little bubble of cars. If he can stay there, either hold them up or get towed along on this soft tyre, which is now starting to definitely fall away, his lap time much slower than the cars around him, then he can still maybe make something of this, but it really does depend on the strategy of those around him. So right now, the race order is Kai de Bruyne, Paul Ura, Jose Serrano, Kylian Drumont, Valerio Gallo and Takuma Miyazono, your top 6 at the moment. So we'll see if anyone else can progress from there.
Well, keep an eye out for the medium shop runners behind as well, because I wonder if someone's going to try and go for the undercut, because you can see how close they are just in terms of the timing screen on the left-hand side. They're all within a couple of tenths of a second pretty much of one another. If you're Miyazono, if you're Gallo, for example, do you decide to pit a lap early, go for a faster compound of tyre in the middle stint, undercut everybody else when you're in clear air and just run your own race, get out of the dirty air, get out of the traffic, and try and make dividends like that, as we see De Bruyne then coming into the pit lane at the end of lap 8. So those soft tyres have cried no more. Where's he going to go from here, though?
Yeah, I think maybe I'd have to go for an aggressive strategy now, another soft tyre, and have a go at that. Now everyone is unleashed. Everyone's like, right, okay, here we go. Now they're fighting as we come down to the hairpin down the bottom here. Drumont looking to the outside of Gallo. Gallo and Drumont now having a little bit of door-to-door contact, or whatever constitutes a door in this car. And Miyazono now being mugged by Sasaki on the inside. The two Japanese drivers side by side. So now that Kai de Bruyne's pitted, everyone's like, right, okay, race on, here we go. And now things are starting to get spicy. And Kai de Bruyne, as we predicted, has gone on to another soft compounder tyre.
Yeah, lit the blue touch paper there to Kai de Bruyne coming into the pit lane, because look at what it's caused. Oh, Ura has a big wiggle there and loses positions to Drumont and to Gallo down to 4th place as Miyazono biffs it into the back of him as well. Miyazono, he's in the wars here for this one. We've seen a few aggressive dives to the inside, a few uncharacteristic errors from the Japanese driver, and that might be set to cost him a little bit here.
Bro's got a snowplow in front of that thing. He's gone into the back of every car I've seen so far, but not enough. I think it's just racing contact at this point. It's nothing that deserves a penalty in my eyes anyway, but Miyazono now starting to make his play, I think, starting to make his moves. Paul Ura struggling a little bit. His rear tyres don't look to be in that too bad of a condition there. Maybe just having a little bit of a bit too enthusiastic on that throttle there. Well, there you go. We've just seen right now. Apparently, it's Miyazono's dream to visit London. So glad we can do that for you.
I was just wondering who's going to go into the pits. Guy Barbara's gone for the undercut here, hasn't he? So he's gone for the medium tyre. Now, where does he go? Surely it's going to be a set of soft tyres next up for him, or at least a set of medium tyres. Wouldn't go for the hards. That would just be, I think, daft, really, to be completely honest with you, at this middle stage in the stint, given how close the drivers are to one another on circuit. Let's have a look at a replay here for Paul Ura and see where his second place came unravelled. So he's going through the right-hander, and he's just going to have a bit of a wiggle on the power then here. Big snap of oversteer and a big save there, but loses second and then loses third.
Well collected there. These slick tyres don't have any slip, really. You go over the grip threshold and you're having a half spin like that. So it did well to collect that. So frantic at the front, but I'm also having a little look down the back of the Labutale and Cardinal. They're both in the hard compound tyres, and Cardinal is staying with Labutale, which is good. A good performance here from our rookie at the moment. So we'll see what they do. They're going to get that hard car out of the way. I think hard then medium for these guys. Surely one stop for Laboutelet and Cardinal, whereas everyone else seems to be opting for maybe a two-stop strategy. We'll see how that pays off.
See, these medium tyres now are starting to get a little bit worn. A few missed apexes coming in from a few drivers here. So Barbara did go on to the soft tyres. He was the first of the medium short runners to blink in this race. He's got a 4.5-second buffer to Kai de Bruyne in front. So that's working out quite nicely there for Guy Barbara. Can he use that soft tyre and the clear air to his advantage? If you're outside of a second or so, generally you're pretty safe in these cars to not worry about the dirty air and so on and so forth, which will just save the front tyres.
Really, the difference is crazy. If you look at that right on the back of him now, actually lifting the throttle, I think, thinking, I don't really want to pass just yet. You have to really pick your moment in these cars, because if you don't, you end up either spearing into the guy in front of you or just having this big understeer or oversteer moment. And we've seen how sensitive the tyres are on this thing, so it has to be measured, it has to be calculated. And will Gallo go for a move this time at the end of the bridge? No, he doesn't. Just staying there for now, happy in third place.
Yeah, Valerio Gallo, former Nations Cup world champion, knows a thing or two about how it is to win one of these races. What about Kylian Drumont in second position as well? Again, he knows how to win a title, won it with Subaru in the Manufacturers' Cup before. And a good opportunity for him to take some honours, take some points, crucially, into the next round of the GT World Series here.
Something you guys might not expect is Gallo actually races from the chase cam.
There we go.
And is one of the best GT drivers in the world. So I always think that's so interesting, because I can't do that. It's so difficult, but he loves it.
You see it often in rallying, because drivers say they get a better feel for the car when they're racing with a chase cam. But yeah, an interesting strategy in these single-seater machines there especially. So it's all pretty calm at the front end of this one. Serrano's been able to build out a 9/10 of a second buffer over Kylian Drumont, which could prove to be quite beneficial there for him, whilst they've been squabbling behind. They're just trying to work together then here, aren't they? They're just trying to close that deficit down. And now Drumont goes to the inside, Gallo goes to the inside of Drumont rather, down into the first corner at the start of lap 12, and the Italian goes through and into second position here.
So there is Gallo up into P2 now, nice. So now he's going to try and lock onto the back of Jose Serrano. Serrano there punching the air, the hole in the air for everybody else, and he's just being followed by this train at the moment. So Drumont doesn't seem too unhappy by that. I'm just curious as to how the strategies are going to play out here, because right now we have 8 cars who are all on identical strategies and then 4 who aren't. So we'll just see which one is the best.
De Bruyne's been able to close the gap down to Cardinal by about 3 or 4 seconds or so. He's been running in clear air, which is nice for Kai de Bruyne. The question is, did that penalty that he suffered from after that contact that we saw with Guy Barbara cost him too dear to challenge for the race victory? Is it now too aggressive of a strategy to work? Because the problem with these aggressive strategies where you start on the soft tyres, they work as long as your rate is pretty much perfect to the second. If you have problems like he's had, it makes it that little bit harder, and it goes from being a battle for victory to a battle for the podium, maybe even the top 5.
So the way to think about it here really is that is the gap. Kai needs to bring back about 15 seconds to the cars in front, because he has to stop again, and everyone else has to stop again as well. So it has to be a really good stint, this one from Kai de Bruyne. But we'll see how that one progresses. Well, also, there's Drumont having another go at Gallo. Working together, I think, now.
Yeah, they've got to be. You know, there's no doubt about it. The gap's down to under half a second. So these two just using the slipstream to try and take those chunks out of Jose Serrano and closing the deficit down. I was just about to say the hard runners have surely got to pit before too long, and they come in at the start of lap 13. Now, where are they going to go in terms of strategy? There's nothing. There's nothing in the rules that says they, can't use the soft tyres. But obviously, it would be completely pointless to do that, because the time you would gain from it would be offset by the fact you have to make another pit stop.
Yeah, so Laboutelet and Cardinal both going for the one-stop strategy. It is possible. I just don't know if it's going to be the fastest one, but it's a great. I love this element in these races, because think about it. In real life, drivers have a whole team to work this out for them, but you have to do it on the fly whilst you're driving, and driving against some of the best drivers in the world. It takes such capacity to be a high-level sim racer. In my head anyway, it's harder to do this and be fast at this than it is to be a driver in the real world.
So who's in the pound seats then in terms of tyres? Well, Miyazono's got a little bit more relative to Gallo and Drumont in front, but not much, to be honest. It's pretty even Stevens between them. Let's have a look at Sasaki versus Miyazono. So this was Miyazono's move, actually, in fact, for 4th place against Pol Jura. So Jura, we saw him make a mistake a couple of laps ago, dropped down to 4th position. Now he's just on the fringes of the top 5. So the race coming unravelled a little bit for the young Spaniard here.
Yeah, I mean, he's still in the fight. I mean, you can still see first place from where he is, but he's definitely not enjoyed these worn medium tyres. He's struggled a little bit, especially in traction zone. We've seen that a few times now from him. He just can't quite get the car out of the corner in the same way the others can. It's maybe a bit of a heavy right foot there from Pole Euro, but this is how close it is. You can see Jose Serrano, our leader, from this onboard of Pole Euro, who's in 5th position. And just like always in these Gran Turismo World Series level events, it's covered by no more than a couple of seconds. These guys are all so fast.
Just looking at the logo on the side of the Spanish car, it looks like the old Super Aguri logo, that motif that they've got on the...
Maybe it is.
I know,
maybe they're back.
That's what the streets will remember. Anyway, looking at Valerio Gallo here in 3rd position, you can see a couple of tenths of a second over himself and Takuma Miyazono, but still very even Stevens at the sharp end of this one. Now, who is going to be the driver that will blink first? We're coming in towards pit stop territory. We've seen a few medium shot runners lurking a bit squirrely over the last couple of laps. The times are in the 1:28s. Compare that to the soft shot runners who are in the 1:26s, the medium shot runners who are now in the 1:30s on their outlap as well. So you would imagine it is not going to be too long before we see these pit stops coming in. And will we see a divergence in strategies? Those that are stuck behind maybe going for the undercut, going for an earlier pit stop to try and gain track position, come out in a bit of clear air. Obviously the converse to that is they have to go a lap longer, maybe a couple of laps longer compared to those who pit later.
Well, I did say that our only one-stoppers so far are Laboutelet and Cardinal, but they are now getting to the point as Drumont, for the first time this race, takes the lead away from Jose Serrano, and Gallo's going through too. So both Drumont and Gallo deciding, right now is the time to pounce. We need to get on with it. We need to get by Serrano and try and pull a gap. Because I think now, Tom, all these guys are on a one-stop. They all want to come in on lap 17 when that medium compounder tyre is at its limit, bolt on some hard tyres and just squabble to the end.
I suppose that's the advantage as well. You've got so many other drivers that are all doing the same strategy around you that you can kind of do the same thing. So if you just like, oh, well, I'll leak it up for a lap longer. Oh, they've done the same. I'll do it for another lap and then another lap and so on. So if you can do that one stop strategy, perfect, but you've got to use 2 tyre compounds in this race. You can't go onto the mediums and then onto the mediums again. You've got to change tyre compounds. The question is, how long can you eat those medium tyres out? Can you get it so you can run a set of softs to the end of this one? Let's have another look at the change of race lead then. So Drumont with a slipstream on the inside, and Gallo said, oh, thanks very much, there's a gap there as well. I'll go through and into second.
Yeah, nicely well played there. That's how you do it. It's like a high-speed chess in the Gran Turismo World Series events. But Serrano hanging on. Interestingly, we looked at the tyres just a second ago. Serrano's tyres actually in the best shape of anyone. He's led this race for the majority so far. So not only is he fast, Tony Serrano, but he's good at looking after those tyres too. Good, very good traits there for a driver here in these events. So on to lap 16 now. We think end of lap 17, all these guys are going to box for some hard compounder tyres. That's what I think is going to happen, but I've been wrong before.
Yeah, hard tyres to the end of this one. When you've got soft shot runners behind and medium shot runners who are on a one-stopper as well, it's going to be interesting. The soft shot runners now coming into Brun pits at the end of lap 15. So he's gone for the soft compounder tyre. What did he start? He was on the soft tyre, he went soft, so now surely he's going to go medium, isn't he, for the end of this race? Got to.
Yeah, has to. If he goes in a hard tyre, it's got no chance. So it will be the medium tyre, I think, for Kylian Drumont. There it is, onto the medium. So, I don't know. He'll have the pace advantage over the hard runners to the end of the race, but it's going to be it's got to be a big push now from Kylian Drumont to get anywhere near these guys. He's a long way back, long way back, and Laboutelet and Cardinal, they're on the same strategy as him basically, and you can see about a second ahead, but that's not so bad. I mean, that shows you how much slower that hard tyre is. But Kylian Drumont, who's done an extra stop over Laboutelet and Cardinal, is only 2 seconds behind.
Yeah, it's not worked out too badly there for Kylian Drumont. Of course, he's now got to make up that position on circuit, which is a bit of a problem, because had he not had that penalty, I mean, what's the gap? 2.2 seconds. He would have come out effectively in front, barring any other instance that he may have come a cropper with. So it's cost him track position. It now means he's got to do the hard work on the circuit. But if he can depose of Cardinal pretty quickly, it might bring him back into contention. But of course, as you can see, the top 8 runners are going to be coming in for a set of hard tyres before too long, and that could leave them vulnerable to those that are on the medium tyres in the closing stages of this race, if indeed they've got any life left in them. That's the crucial point. They can all well be on a quicker compounder tyre, but if they've taken all the good bits out of them, they'll have nothing left at the end.
And look who's been quietly sneaking up the field. Takuma Miyazono up 3 places, up to P4 now, and in the fight for the win here, no doubt about it. Our 2014 Nations Cup champion showing you just why he is such. Very, very close now to the back of Jose Serrano, and it is going to be a bit of a fist fight on the hard compounder tyre as well. We very rarely see these guys race on the hard tyres, so I'm quite curious to see what it's like for them. I know it's going to be slow, it's going to be tough. They are going to be on a lighter fuel load though, so it should be a bit nicer, but they take a while to heat up and they don't have anywhere near the grip of these mediums, so it should be a very, very spicy last 13 laps or so.
Yeah, 8 drivers all on the same strategy is going to be very exciting. Well, Takuma Miyazono showing why meditating to that pop song is a good idea before the start of this race. I want to say it's been a calm one from him, but the first laps were a bit scrappy, even by Takuma Miyazono standards. So he's calmed down a little bit. You can see there, philosophy by Alexandros. Well, whatever philosophy he's going by, it seems to be working quite nicely at the moment. Just sitting there in 4th position, biding his time, waiting for the right opportunity. Does anybody dive into the pit lane? Miyazono does. So Miyazono into the pits. He's the first driver to blink. So now he's going to do the undercut relative to those around him.
This could be a huge move here from Miyazono, because these medium tyres, they really are on their last legs. The guys are doing 128s, high 128, 129, and we know the hard compounder tyre can easily do a 28 on its own. So this might be a masterclass here from Miyazono, just taking that one lap earlier and going for that undercut. So he's having to look around, but you can see him there thinking, right, okay, where are they on the circuit? Where am I? But this means this outlap is absolutely crucial for Takuma Miyazono. I think he's come out on his own as well.
Yeah, it's worked out nicely. He's got a 10-second buffer to Guy Barbara in front, so that's absolutely perfect there for Takuma Miyazono. Gallo, meanwhile, took the lead of the race away from Kylian Drumont. Serrano was there in the background as well, but exactly what we saw last time as well. Down the start finish straight into the tunnel, into the first corner. Gallo, a decisive move there into the race lead for the first time.
And it's so cool seeing these guys race. I mean, we've been doing this now for, I think this is our 8th year of doing this. And these names, they keep coming back, and you just know, right, you've got Gallo, Drumont, Serrano, Miyazono. It's going to be a good race, and it always is. Gallo right now leading from the front with those rear tyres, getting to the point now where traction is going to be a bit of a premium. So I imagine we're going to see him all react to Miyazono's pit stop and try and avoid being undercut too badly. So we're going to see now whether Miyazono's strategy was the correct one or not, and Gallo is continuing. One more lap on the medium, as is Serrano, and Drumont opting to pit. So they're really pushing this medium tyre. I was told in the briefing that 17 laps, so you're going to get out of it. But our drivers think different.
Miyazono's not had a particularly brilliant middle sector relative to some other drivers around him. 29.7's not quite the fastest. Of course, the tyres aren't up to the optimum working temperature at the moment. Hard tyres then on for Kylian Drumont. Innestrosa following the same strategy there as well. What's it like on fuel? Seems okay for them at the moment. Nothing really too much to worry about. But there is Miyazono. Has he managed to leapfrog those two drivers as they come out of the pit lane, up through and into 7th position then for Miyazono, and Drumont is still in front for now, but he's on colder tyres. Is Miyazono going to be able to take profit and go for the move on the inside? Not quite into there, so it's worked out okay for Miyazono, but not particularly brilliantly in terms of track position, because now he's got to find his way through on Drumont the hard way.
You need to, I don't know, I think that's not worked out for Miyazono the way I thought it was. The outlap was not enough, but Gallo and Serrano now, you can see them in the acceleration zone. They just cannot get out of the corner. I think they're there. They've just gone a lap too long, I think, on these tyres. I mean, we can see on our end 10% left on the rear right tyre for Valerio Gallo. That thing is going to feel horrible. Now Serrano's going for a move. You don't do it now, Jose. You're fighting. Sasaki and Bolura also fighting for moves too. You can see they've got the warning sign there. Don't know what that means, but it can't be good.
No, absolutely critical for these drivers. They've got to come into the pit lane then, surely. Gallo has to, no choice for it. Sasaki also following him through there as well. So this is going to be interesting actually here between these drivers to see who emerges where. Has Miyazono lost time? He's still not ahead of Kylian Drumont, and that, as you say, Jimmy, was absolutely critical in terms of the strategy for a potential race victory for Takuma Miyazono. He needed to leapfrog, and soft tyres for Valerio Gallo, as well as Sasaki here as well. So they've decided to do a completely different strategy. Are they going to try and do the soft tyres 10 laps to the end?
We've not seen anyone, we've seen 8 laps, Kai de Bruin. Guy Barbara has been on that soft tyre for 10 laps and come in. Something that says it can work. He's going again. So maybe this is the play. We didn't see us coming at all. Medium to soft tyre. So right now, Gallo is going to be able to drive right by these guys and just pull away. and have a massive gap, and that might just be enough.
But Serrano and Ura even better because they have got an advantage over these drivers, and they have got 1 lap fewer to do when they come in, because surely it's got to be at the end of this lap. So it's critical now for Valerio Gallo to get track position ahead of Miyazono, and look at how much grip he's got ahead of the Japanese driver at the moment. Through the right hander we go, out of the hairpin, great attraction, track position on the inside. Surely he's going to dive his way through and into 4th. He does, so Gallo is up ahead. Now his next target is Kylian Drumont.
It has to do it, has to make these moves count now, does Gallo. Sasaki's got on the same strategy as well on that soft compound tyre. They need to get through very quickly, and now the threat for Serrano and Ura isn't going to be Drumont and Miyazono, it's going to be Gallo and Sasaki. But can they make this tyre last in? So in comes Serrano and Ura, surely also going to go for that soft compounder tyre. They've seen it can work. I really did not see this one coming from these guys. Gallo there just trying everything to get by Drumont. Yep, as we've seen Serrano and Ura on the soft tyre, but where do they come out in relation to this pack? This is going to be super important for this race.
Well, not only have they ripped up the rule book, they've also rewritten it as we come down the start-finish straight then here. So where do Serrano and Ura emerge as they come out of the pit lane? They're behind. So it's Gallo versus Drumont, and Gallo leads on the soft compound tyre, and now surely he's going to pull away from Drumont. What about Sasaki as well? Can he join in on the party? He's now in front of Miyazono, but it bottlenecks up through this series of corners. No way through for Sasaki on Drumont through here. He's going to have to wait for the circuit to open up, use the great attraction on the exit of the corner, and challenge Drumont for 2nd place if he's going to have any hope of challenging for the victory on this one against Gallo. To the inside goes Sasaki, and to 2nd place as well.
So Gallo now needs to take the best care of his tyres possible. I just don't know if this is going to be doable on that soft compound tyre. But you know what? What I like is he tried it anyway, as has Sasaki. These guys have got to be clever though.
But it's the drivers behind, Serrano and Ura, that are in the penalties. They've got 1 lap fewer to do on the soft compound of tyre. They've got 0.6 of a second of a gap to make up to Miyazono and Drumont, who should be relatively easy pickings. Keep an eye out for the 2 Spaniards. Can they bring themselves right into contention in the closing 8 laps of this race? They need to get ahead of Miyazono and Drumont as quick as they possibly can.
I really think this is going to come down to the last lap or two here. Serrano making that big move, and Miyazono has to do it up the inside. Goes Serrano now, rocking onto the back of Kylian Drumont. The Spanish cars flying together in formation, cutting through the field. There goes Serrano up into P3 now, and in pursuit of Sasaki and Gallo. Paul Ura is going to use the slipstream, follow him through. They both go through. Oh my God, contact at over 200 miles an hour, but they all somehow manage to keep pointing the right way. And Paul Ura slots into 4th position behind Jose Serrano. And just like that, the battle for the lead is back on again.
Serrano versus Ura, then they need to work together here to close up onto the back of Sasaki. 0.6 of a second, the deficit between Sasaki and Serrano at this point. 1 lap newer tyres between them as well. Is that going to be the difference between winning this race, or is it going to be a battle for the podium?
My maths say that those rear tyres from Gallo and Sasaki will not last. I don't think they're going to get those to the end. And as you say, Serrano and Ura, who just waited that extra lap, that might be the difference between victory and defeat here in the first round of the Nations Cup. A reminder, top 6 get points here, of course, but when you're fighting for the win, you don't care about getting a point for 5th or 6th. You care about being on that top step of that podium, and it's going to take some wrestling away from Valerio Gallo, I can tell you that now.
It's working out quite nicely here for Labusle. He's right on the back of Miyazono. Meanwhile, Serrano looking for a way through on Sasaki, who parks the car on the apex of the corner. These two both on the soft compact of tyres, to remind you, but Sasaki's 1 lap older. Just to finish the thoughts on Labusle, he's closing up onto the back of Miyazono, might be able to snatch a point off of the Japanese driver. He's on the quicker compact of tyre and has gone for the one-stop strategy. Sasaki to the inside then of Gallo at the start of lap 23 and to the race lead.
There you go then, so people making the moves early, and you have to wonder, is them squabbling going to be the way? So by my maths, it's about 8 or 9% a lap you take out of the rear tyre around here, and Gallo and Sasaki have to do 10 laps. So
yeah, not easy at all there for them. Let's have a look here at Ura in the slipstream. So down into the first corner. This is Ura's move on the inside there with Drumont. It was so close between them. And as you said, Jimmy, how on earth they managed to exit the corners in the same positions that they entered, and indeed in the same direction that they entered, was remarkable.
Easy peasy. No, all in a day's work, these guys. So Right now, Gallo actually starting to fall off the back of Sasaki a little bit.
Sasaki's trying to pull the pin here, isn't he? He's got to do this if he's going to try and challenge for the victory, because if he starts squabbling with the likes of Gallo, it's going to bring Serrano and Ura right back into play. Sasaki needs the lap of his life to build out enough of a buffer so that when those rear tyres fall off a cliff, he's got enough in his pocket to hold on to that race lead. But look at the difference already in terms of the lap times. I know the top two were squabbling with one another last time around, but 25 compared to 26s and early 27s is a fortnight in these cars.
I just don't think Gallo's got the ultimate pace right now. I mean, like, he's in the tow right here. Serrano opting to stay out the tow and have a bit more of a slingshot, I think. Right, here we go. So we're on the tow. Gallo on Sasaki. Serrano we're on board with right now. Pole Euro you can't see is just behind us on the circuit. We're snaking through here. I think we're going to stay where they are. Serrano I think he thought about it for a second there, maybe, and thought, no, I can wait. I can afford to wait. My tyres are in much better nick than the guys in front of me. No point me rushing.
So Sasaki it is that still leads then, 0.3 of a second to the good of Valerio Gallo and Serrano as well as Pol Ura. Miyazono meanwhile still in front of now De Bruyne, who is in front in turn of Laboutelet. So Laboutelet must have had a moment last time around because he was right on the rear bumper of Miyazono at one point. Not quite sure what has happened to the Frenchman there, but either way he's now dropped some 3 seconds off the back of that final points paying position. Just a reminder, points all the way down to 6th place, and these 12 drivers that are here in London will also be going through into Berlin. They'll be here for the rest of the season, so all these points are absolutely critical in the Nations Cup as they come through into this left-handed hairpin. It's the car before the storm, this one, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, just something's going to give at some point, and it's going to be just explosive, I think is the best term for it. Still on board Pol Ura, watching Serrano in front go for a dive, and we're going to follow our compatriot through on board Pol Ura up into, is it 3rd place? No, 2nd place with Serrano, and they're side by side behind Gallo and Ura bumping wheels as we go down the straight. Ura using the toe, see Serrano putting across to help his compatriot there. Man, these guys are thinking in 5D, aren't they? It's not just about their race, it's also the race of their teammates around them.
And they're challenging for the race lead against Sasaki now as well, who's coming under pressure from Jose Serrano into this corner. We know you can make a move stick, but you've got to be last of the late breakers and have a very willing dance partner. Out of the tunnel and into the daylight once again. Serrano now in the slipstream, now against Sasaki, now challenging for the race lead. Does he dive to the inside, to the left-hander? He does, and Serrano goes through. Is the door open for Ura there as well? Sort of, on the inside, twitches to the outside line. Sasaki's going to defend it, but that'll compromise his run out of the corner, and Ura just has to wait another day and goes for a lunge on the inside, but runs it deep. Sasaki's ready to come back through there, but no door is open, and now it is Serrano versus Ura for the victory in this one, and Serrano's got 9/10 in his back pocket.
A huge move from Ura. He has to do that great block pass in the background. Gallo's trying the same thing. Can't quite make that one stick though for now, and Gallo he knows that if these guys get away, that's it. There's no coming back from this one. But that was a great move from Ura. Just sat on the apex, gave Sasaki nowhere to go, and now, as you say, Tom, it's Spaniard on Spaniard. This time, I've got a feeling they aren't going to play so nice.
No, this is going to be very interesting between these two. It was sort of civil war, really. We saw it in the sprint race a few minutes ago. Are we going to see the same stakes, though, here in the grand final? You would imagine it is going to be a much closer affair, and I would imagine a much more aggressive affair, because points mean prizes, and every point matters, even in the opening round of the season. The question is, though, who's going to get the final podium place here between Sasaki and Gallo, because it is pretty even Stevens between these two in terms of pace right now.
On board with Gallo at the moment. Have to think, does he have a response to this? I'm not sure he does. Both his and Sasaki's tyres are looking pretty second hand, and there's still got 4.5 more laps to go though.
Keep an eye out for Drumont, who's down in 5th place. I know he's on the hard combat of tyre, but you can see there he was 0.3 of a second quicker than the soft shop runners last time around, and I wonder whether those hard tyres are going to start coming into their own. Over the course of one lap, they are significantly slower, but over the course of a race duration, that is where the hard tyres will begin to pay off. There's a fair gap to catch up. It's about 4 seconds or so. I think it might be a bit too far away given the later stages of this race, but if anything unravels between these top four, as we have seen it do so, it could bring Drumont, maybe Miyazono, back into play for a position up the order.
I just think it's because of the fighting we saw in that lap. I don't think the pace is quite there for the hard tyre, but as you say, Tom, for Sasaki and Gallo especially, they're going to really start struggling in a couple of laps' time with this soft compound tyre. That might bring Drumont back, it might bring Miyazono back, it might bring De Bruyne back. for a point or two, who's there in 7th place, just waiting behind right now. He's quicker than anyone right now, but that last lap time there, Sasaki and Gallo, having a fight. Will we see Gallo go for a move?
No, not quite. He's not close enough, is he?
I think maybe there's a bit of like, geez, now we're stuck, aren't we?
Yeah.
What do we do now?
They're sort of in no man's land, aren't they, really?
Yeah.
This is the problem. That's the risk with going for that undercut, because, as we said, it's only one lap, but it does have a massive impact on the race. And look at what it's done. 2.2 seconds clear up the road, Serrano versus Ura. And they've got enough of a cushion now in their pocket to sort of get involved in their own squabble, because they know that Sasaki and Gallo will not have the pace to catch up.
Yeah, I just don't think, as you say, Tom, that tyre's got enough in it, and Sasaki's doing enough to keep Gallo behind, and he's doing that whilst being slow. I mean, if we look at last lap time, Serrano 26.5, 25.9 from Ura in the tow, and that's a 27.1 and a 27.0.
Oh, Gallo!
Oh, there you go.
Lunges to the inside for 3rd place on Sasaki. Sasaki left the door pretty firmly open there, so maybe he wants to be the follower rather than the followee at this point.
To give you some sort of number to the rear tyres percentage-wise, and we might have a graphic for it soon, but Gallo right now and Sasaki, their rear right tyre on 32% apiece, and then in front of them it's 39% for Serrano and Ura. That's the difference one lap makes around here.
So down the start-finish straight we go. Cardinal gets a warning for bump drafting. The stewards don't take too kindly to that sort of thing here in the GT World Series. It's his first event, so we'll give him the grace of it, but a warning is one step away from a penalty. 10th position currently for Sam Cardinal, newcomer to the GT World Series. Let's see what impact he can make later on in the championship, because it hasn't been a particularly fruitful evening for him here tonight.
The pace of Serrano and Ura, they really have just opened the taps now. They've put 3 seconds on Valerio Gallo, who is not a slow driver, and just goes to show that when you get your head down round here, these guys, the Spaniards, they're going to be hard to beat this year, Tom.
Well, the crucial point is they've stopped squabbling amongst one another. They've worked together like we saw them doing in the sprint race here. They've just not been, diving up the inside, sending another driver wide, taking 7 bells out of each other. They've worked together to build up that buffer to now over 4 seconds, which has worked quite nicely.
And they have worked together, but here comes your question if you're Serrano and Paul Ura. Who wins this race? Because we're coming in now to the penultimate lap, and Ura is, I'd say, probably in the better position. He's got the tow, which means pretty much an automatic pass into the first corner if you're in about 3-4 tenths or so. Right now, though, I think Serrano is aware, I need to actually try and pull this gap out a little bit. So we're now going to see a bit of a fist fight, I think. And these guys, as I said, they are compatriots. They are part of that same Nations Cup victorious team in 2023 when it was a team game rather than a single driver. But right now, they are enemies. Who will win? Well, in a lap and a half, we're going to find out.
It's a mental game here between these two, and Serrano closes the door there on Paul Ura. Well, the door was never really open, was it, to be completely honest? But Ura closes up onto the back of him, and he's just trying to find his way through, trying to sniff out where Serrano is a little bit slower over the course of that lap. Look at where his weaknesses are. Maybe send a dress rehearsal to the inside, a warning sign to Serrano to try and challenge for this race victory here.
You're watching right now 2 of the fastest Gran Turismo drivers in the world duke it out for the first win of the year here in London. Jose Serrano, your leader, Paul Ura in 2nd place, and with only a lap and a half of this Grand Valley reverse circuit to go, it is anyone's game. Ura, of course, needs to find a way past Jose Serrano. There's realistically maybe 1 or 2 more chances to do that, and here's one of them now. Serrano very, very slow there, and Ura deep, actually. That might have cost him slightly. Ura has a slightly worse tyre than Serrano in front of it, and that won't make too much difference. Using the tow up here to the top of the course, and this I think is going to be Paul Ura's next chance on the exit of his left-hander, Tom.
De Bruyn's going down the order as well. I think he's had a problem there, down into 7th position, just behind now Takuma Miyazono. So out of the points there for him as we come on to the start of the final lap for the grand final of the Nations Cup here in London. It's Serrano who leads Paul Ura 0.2 of a second in it as we come into the first corner. Serrano defends Ura, looking for the outside line. That's going to be brave and bold and brilliant from Paul Ura if he can make it stick. Side by side they run into the braking zone. Serrano's got track position. Ura's off onto the grass on the inside. He's got the line though on the inside, but he switches to the outside line through the next left-hander, and somehow Serrano retains the lead.
Ura's got the toe though down here. This will be the last chance in realistic to make the move. Will he go to the inside of Jose Serrano? He looks for it, doesn't quite make the move stick. Serrano goes deep into the braking zone. Will he now get the cut back into this right-hander? Ura takes a wider line. Serrano sits on the apex there. stops Yura getting the power, but a slight wheel spin moment. Yura looks to the outside. Again, he's alongside, but just can't make it stick.
He's deep,
He's
though.
wide, he's wide.
He's no doubt. Oh, it's so hard though when you run it deep though, because it switches back to that left-hander, and it just gave Serrano enough track position. Half a lap to go then here, separating Serrano and Yura from victory in the grand final in the Nations Cup. And launch to the inside for Yura. Can he make it stick on Serrano? He slides. Is that moment over? Is that victory over for Yura then against Jose Serrano? It's advantage Serrano with just a few corners now remaining.
Serrano then, I think maybe called the bluff there off Pol Yura, just about managing to take the win away, maybe. One last chance for Pol Yura.
It's going to be a drag to the line between Serrano and for Yura then, between the two of them, but Jose Serrano pulls a blinder and wins the grand final of the Nations Cup here in London. It's Jose Serrano on top, Pol Yura in second, Valerio Gallo will take third ahead of Takuma Sasaki. What a fantastic end to that race. It has absolutely destroyed my vocal cords as Jose Serrano destroys the competition here in London.
If you're anyone else but a Spanish GT driver right now, you're probably thinking, what do I have to do? Gallo there did really well, I think, to make that soft tyre last. His right rear tyre was on 3% when he crossed the line in P3. Sasaki in 4th place, Drumont 5th, Miyazono in 6th there. And a strategy that I didn't even think of was the one that was victorious today. Making that medium tyre last in that first, and then going to the soft tyre and just managing. And man, what a great race between these two competitors. Great respect, you can tell. These guys are respectful racing. They know each other. They know how they're going to treat each other. It's just awesome to see at this level.
Yeah, it certainly is. Jose Serrano then led this one at the start from Pol Yura. Kylian Drumont there in third position as well. It was a pretty scrappy affair at the start of this race. Kai de Bruyne led for a brief while as he ascended through the order on the soft competitive tyre, but unfortunately his race came unravelled when he picked up a 3-second penalty for colliding with Guy Barbara in the opening stages. We saw a similar slide there for Pol Yura, which cost him track position to Kylian Drumont in the opening stages. One wonders what his race may have looked like but for that mistake. Then we saw Gallo making his way through on the order as the pit stops began to work out then here. Serrano and Yura pitted a lap later than Gallo and Sasaki, and that proved to be decisive in terms of the challenge for the race victory, because they had fresher rubber and greater pace underneath them, and as such they were able to side their way through on Valerio Gallo and Sasaki and build up a buffer to those two to challenge for the lead in the closing stages.
Yeah, it's a move that Pol Yura put on there, and we got on here. This was the decisive move really. Yura and Serrano going side by side pretty much the entirety of the first sector of this last lap here. A little bit of contact between them, but they still managed to stay there. And in the end, it was this move that sealed the victory for Jose Serrano. Yura just going a bit deep, almost made it work to split up the rear tyres, and that was that. You see a little smile there from Serrano thinking, yeah, you know what? I earned that one. I'm happy with that, and awesome to see this respect there between the two countrymen.
Yeah, brilliant job from Jose Serrano and for Pol Yura. Clean, fair and aggressive racing from those two. The upshot is by just under 0.3 of a second, Jose Serrano claims top honours in round one of the Nations Cup here in London ahead of his compatriot. Valerio Gallo on the podium as well. Sasaki, Drumont and Miyazono all picking up some points here this afternoon. A couple of drivers very unlucky to miss out on that one, but an absolutely phenomenal race. Let's go down to Jules, who's on the floor here in London, and catch up with our finishers.
Yes, I'm joined by Valerio and Pol right now, second and third place. Valerio, talk us through your strategy on that, because it was an interesting one.
I don't know.
just play it by ear. Just turn up, drive real fast.
Nah, for real. I think that I played clean today, and that was my main goal. And I know for myself I have a limit with this car, especially. So I'm okay with that. I'm also happy for Pol and Jose. They did an amazing job. Also, you know, extending the medium stint. Actually, it was a mystery because we went so long for the medium stint that we didn't know if we would actually make it. And yeah,
no, we were the same.
I'm very happy anyway, and I want to congratulate to everyone. It was an amazing racing.
It was a good race, right? I mean, that was pretty intense. So, Pol, it came down to like the final few laps. That was, okay, so you're waiting, you're biding your time. What were you kind of thinking, like, how nerve-wracking was that? Because it was pretty nerve-wracking to watch.
Well, in the first team we were like 6 or 7 guys with the mediums, including Valerio.
Yeah.
So I started to push, to try to break the group, but it was impossible with the slipstream. And then on lap 10, I realized I had to save my tires if I wanted to get to the soft. I had to save tires. So I went back. I dropped back to the group. I started to save my tires, and then I saw them pitting for hards at 18, 19, and I thought the same as Jose, like until 20, not pitting, because the softs only lasts for 10 laps, and it actually worked out very well.
It did work out very well, but those are a spicy last couple of laps. That was an incredible race. Let's thank them both. They did incredibly well, as did all the drivers. Let's chuck it back now to Tom and Jimmy for points.
Cheers, Jules. Many congratulations to Valerio Gallo and to Pol Ura. Of course, the race results do reflect the point standings here tonight. The upshot is Jose Serrano takes 6 into Berlin for round 2. Pol Ura with 5, Gallo with 4, Sasaki with 3, Drumont 2 points on the board, Miyazono there with 1 point as well. I think Miyazono will probably be a bit disappointed given the pace that we've seen from him in these cars in the past.
Yeah, it just didn't quite come together for him, did it? I think that medium to soft strategy was the one in the end. And as Valerio was saying down there, I don't think anyone really knew they could do it until they did it. So, but not a strong start for Takuma at all.
Absolutely. Well, then let's catch up with our race winner. What a drive from Jose Serrano. Calm, controlled and clinical. Let's catch up with him. He's down with Jules.
Yes, I'm joined by winner Jose Serrano. Jose, how was that race for you? It was great to watch. Was it fun? No.
Yeah, it's really fun, but
Good.
it was very tough, especially with the middle steam. But yeah, finally we did a good work, Paul and myself, and yeah, we see the battery in the last lap.
And then the last couple of laps, were you worried? Were you worried Paul was going to come for you? Like, what? How were you feeling?
I'm worried, yes, but I'm very confident with Paul. He's so clean. He's my teammate. So yeah, so happy with the result with the P1, P2.
You know, if you were going to lose to anybody, like you'd be okay if it was Paul, right? Like it's fine. What do you think? Because obviously, you know, you guys, Spain are so dominant. What makes the Spanish great drivers? Because you guys are always up in front. What is it?
It's a secret.
Well, there you have it. Okay, all right, we're going to chuck it back up to Tom and Jimmy. Big congratulations to Jose!
Jose Serrano, the winner of the Nations Cup World Series event here in London for 2025. Don't forget to vote for your driver of the day on YouTube as well. Is it Pol Ura? Is it Valerio Gallo? Or is it Jose Serrano, the winner? Jimmy, if we were offering this one, who would be your driver of the day?
Oh, I don't know. I think they all did a good job. I mean, it's just, I think I would, if I could, I'd pick Ura and Serrano because they just played it so well together. I mean, Serrano obviously came out on top in both races, in the sprint and in this one as well, but they worked together so well. It's a mature decision to do that, and it paid off massively for both of them, more so though, of course, for Serrano.
Yeah, it was spectacular from both of those drivers, absolutely no doubt about it. And a credit to Valerio Gallo as well for holding off Takuma Sasaki right at the end of that one. But we now are then ready for the podium ceremony to begin here in London. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome in third place for the Nations Cup for World Series 1 from Italy, Valerio Gallo. Great drive from Valerio Gallo onto the podium for the first time this season. And in second place, please give it your all for Spain's Pol Ura. And the winner of the opening event of the Gran Turismo World Series Nations Cup in 2025 from Spain, Jose Serrano! And now, ladies and gentlemen, we ask you to please stand if you're able for the national anthem of our winning nation, Spain. Well, the national anthem of Spain plays out for our winning nation here tonight for Jose Serrano. And now time for the trophies to be presented. The Senior Director of Publishing for PlayStation, Tim Hodges, will award the third place trophy as he makes his way onto the stage here in London. Shakes the hands of our top 3 competitors. And the third place trophy is awarded to Italy's Valerio Gallo. Onto the stage, please welcome the Chief Marketing Officer from Fanatec, Belman Adarevic. Here in London, our top 3 competitors on the podium, and the second place trophy to be awarded to Spain's Paul Yura. And finally, please welcome the Gran Turismo series producer, Kazunori Yamauchi, onto the stage here in London. And he will present the winner's trophy to none other than Spain's Jose Serrano!
Well, there you have it. Yes, round 1 of our Nations Cup. One and done. One and done. That was amazing. What some incredible racing. Spanish dominance. Once again, Jimmy.
I'm not really surprised, to be honest. These guys had it sewn up from a sprint race, it seems. I think they came in with a strategy and then they just executed it. And that was it.
Super Spaniards, can't fault them, actually. Brilliant drive from both of them. And great strategy play all the way through that race. And then we knew the gloves were going to come off right at the end of that one, but it was clean, it was fair, it was respectful. It was brilliant.
Love that. And well, it's been some amazing racing. Don't forget, of course, round 2 in Berlin and round 3 in Los Angeles. Tickets are on sale now, so if you're watching from somewhere around the world, maybe it's not too far, maybe it is far, you should just come, because it's been a good day, right, guys? Yeah! See? There you go. Fully recommended from a London crowd. And we are quite snobby about how we spend our time, because we have all the options, okay? We have all of them. Are you excited for Berlin?
I mean, obviously. I mean, it's a shame it's in September. I kind of want to go and do the next one now. But we've got a little while to get ready for it, at least.
Can't we have a little one in between? Where can we go?
Just a mini,
at home?
Yeah, a little
Online.
mini break or something. Why not? We'll go away together. No, it's been a cracker, hasn't it? You can't fault the racing here tonight. Manufacturers' Cup, Nations Cup, perfect.
Well, it's now time to say goodbye. Thank you so much to everyone from London for joining us. It's been wonderful. This has been round 1 of the Nations Cup. We will see you next in Berlin. Bye.